Hello, everyone. I'm Whitney Ortiz, the founder of Whole Health Self Care and the host of the Whole Health series. I am thrilled Marisa Martino is here with us. Marisa is the founder and CEO of District Batch, an all natural luxury skincare company based in Washington, D.C. Since launching in 2018, she has been weaving together her background in fine art, zero waste lifestyle, and creative entrepreneurship to regularly innovate and offer new products in a sustainable way. She's deeply involved in all aspects of the business, from sourcing the raw materials to packaging the final products to marketing. And she's dedicated to quality and to really growing her business in balance with her active home life. Thank you so much, Marissa, for sharing through the Whole Health series. I'm really excited to dive in and to highlight more of your own entrepreneurial adventures, which offer such rich guidance for many.
Thank you, Whitney. Thanks for having me. I'm really grateful that you are interested in learning more about District Batch, and I appreciate being here with you today.
Oh, definitely. And to highlight you to so many women out there who are going through their own growth and expansion experiences. And you've done so much in developing District Batch, really standing out as a leader in the clean skincare industry right here in DC, where I also live. So it's a real pleasure to have you here. Can you please start by sharing about the moment when you realize like how important it is to care about the ingredients that we're using in our skincare products and really the efforts that you've put into determining which ingredients to use and how to process them all through District Batch?
Yeah, sure. So I have a little prop here. This is a book that my mom gave me when I was a really young teen, sort of dating myself, but almost 30 years ago, long before the DIY movement was, popular and rolling. So my mom gave me this book, and it's all about making natural skincare at home. And at first it wasn't about being natural for me. It was just about what was accessible. So I had oatmeal at home, I had lemon, I had all of these simple ingredients, and I realized pretty quickly that natural simple formulas worked pretty well. So I kind of started making my own stuff early, and then I had a few iterations. As you say, I have a background in fine art, so I had a few iterations of District Batch along the way. But I think the moment where this idea of natural really came into focus was when my mom was diagnosed with cancer um, in 2011, I believe. So she was diagnosed with stage 3B breast cancer, and I would accompany her to the Cancer Institute for her treatment. And after her treatment, we would often go get something to eat in the cafeteria and browse in the gift shop. And what I noticed was that items in the gift shop were carrying, skincare products that had known carcinogens, and all of the food in the cafeteria was served on styrofoam. And that was really hit home to me. The Cancer Institute is serving food on styrofoam, and selling ingredients that are known to not be good for your body. So my poor mom, that's really the moment that I became an ingredient nerd, as I like to say. And so I would be reading the ingredients of these things on the bus on the way to her chemo treatment, saying, can you believe there's tetrasodium EDTA in this and phenoxyethanol, and I mean, so I think that was kind of when I really started to think about what was going in the products that I was using as well. And every grab that I made on a shelf, for something for myself, I would look at it and think, I don't want to put this on my body. And so, District Batch sort of was born out of that. And then at the same time, this idea of natural came into focus. I think I'll just say what feels important to me is to define the word natural. I think the biggest issue that skincare companies are facing is this greenwashing of the word natural. And so, I don't want to be punishing to people, but I also want to say, you have to sort of pick a lane. Like it's okay. It's okay. I mean, I would like everybody to be natural, but it's okay if not everybody and every company makes things that are natural. But when I see, watermelon fragrance, soy candles marketed as all natural, I I really, I struggle. And so what I'm trying to do with District Batch is to say, like, this can just be a check in your box that you know that I'm obsessing over this stuff and you don't have to. Um, but, to sort of go back to this idea of what it means, like, are synthetic ingredients natural? I mean, you sort of have to make these decisions for yourself, and because the government and the cosmetic industry is not going to do it for you. So when we talk about natural, I think as a consumer, you have to find a brand that you trust, or you have to do a sort of inordinate amount of research to truly understand what that means. And I think it's sort of daunting. So when I came across this problem of natural, what does it mean to be natural? And I took it on, I really wanted to present to the world something that was my definition of natural. And I don't know many other companies that are doing, there are these little nuanced things that I do. I don't know, I'm sure there are others, but I don't know a lot of them. For example, I don't use ingredients that are extracted using hexane. So, hexane extracted ingredients show very little trace of hexane in the ingredient themselves, but what happens to the workers in the factory when they're using hexane? What happens to the environment when we're producing hexane? So these are the kinds of questions that I ask myself when I'm bringing ingredients into District Batch. And I think it's not realistic for everybody to ask those questions about every single ingredient in a product. But fair warning, the word natural is essentially meaningless. Although I do use it myself to describe my company, I think it is essentially a meaningless word. So
Because of like the lack of regulation and oversight and seemingly like care by many governments, including the US one, where so many mainstream companies that forever, quote unquote, we've wanted to have trust in. And it's like, oh, well, if such and such brand is putting it out there as all natural, it must be, right? And then it really takes, as you say, this discerning eye, this like really well researched view on the ingredient list to say, oh, goodness, why would I put that in on my child, right?
Right.
Baby products, like it's so across the board. And the
Right.
increasing amount of research coming out that makes that connection between environmental toxins, which include the products that we put on our largest organ, our skin, and disease. So as you say, that was your why. That really like was the pivotal moment when you were in the hospital and you were saying, why is it that this is happening? Is it for lack of knowledge? Is it for lack of will? Is it because it's this whole transformation that has to happen? I think we both agree that yes, there needs to be this huge transformation that happens within our business, but that you're putting in such dedicated time and research so that anyone who buys your product says, okay, I don't even have to think about this. I just know that Marisa has done the work. She's thought about even the workers who are out there, their own health and well-being.
Making the raw ingredients.
So, go ahead.
Sorry. There's a term called GRAS, GRAS, which means generally recognized as safe. And so it's a term that is, these things in small quantities are generally recognized as safe. And I did not feel like that, that phrase inspired confidence. Because these ingredients that are labeled GRAS are also ubiquitous. And so what does it mean to use something in small amounts generally recognized as safe, but if it's in everything? And so I think with District Batch, I really, there are ingredients that are synthetic that are safe, but why? Like, we don't need this stuff. We don't need lab manufactured skincare. It's just, I don't know, it's such a big picture, but just to sort of close that up, just to say, how about just safe? That just seems better to me. And so that's where I'm going with District Batch. My ingredients aren't generally recognized as safe. They're just simply safe. And when they're put together, they're safe. And that's another problem, is that a lot of times these ingredients separately are okay. But when you combine a formaldehyde releaser with something that breaks down your skin, it's going to allow the formaldehyde into your bloodstream. So it's such a complicated tangle. And you're right, the government is really, it's not regulating. It's really almost like an honor system, which is just,
when you're leaving it up to profit. right? The
Yeah,
big
when
companies,
profit
what are they
is,
going to mostly want? The
yeah,
focus on the
yeah,
profit. Where you're on
yeah,
the people who are
yeah,
really using the products and the people who
yeah,
are making, putting together the ingredients to
right,
ultimately have that quote unquote, bar of soap in front of you,
right.
right? So in terms of the packaging too,
Mhm.
you're very dedicated and committed to working towards having like the zero waste lifestyle, like really sustainable packaging. Can you talk about that growth process with us in terms of your
Yeah,
business yourself?
yeah, it's a growth process is the right word for it. It is hard. You have to remember a lot of this stuff comes back to money, and it's an unfortunate reality of commerce is built on selling. And this having a small business, it's hard to make good choices for the environment because you have to buy in such big quantities. So, okay, so for example, I have my oil cleansing method here. Now, if you live in the district, you can return this glass to me and I'll give you $1 back towards your next purchase. If you live in California, and we ship everywhere, so if you live in California, I don't know that it makes sense yet to send these things back. Like, I don't know what that footprint looks like yet. Um, so that's something that I'm working on. How do I do a recycling program that is not just in the District of Columbia? That's one of the problems that I'm trying to solve. Another thing is I am trying to move towards zero waste. I consider myself a low waste company now, but
Mhm.
so the plastic applicator on top. There are issues with contamination. I could send you uh, this jar with a lid on it and a separate pump, but you have to have a new pump. Really, ideally, you're putting a fresh pump in, right? Like, you don't want to put an old pump into a new product. So there are all of these things. And then the lids, well, these are manufactured in Germany, so I can't buy lids in the US that fit. I would have to have them manufactured in China. And what does that mean for the environment? I mean, there are sort of endless. And then the labels. Okay, so compostable labels are super expensive. I'm willing to spend the money. I'm happy to spend the money on compostable labels. You have to take them off and compost them. You can't just throw them in the landfill. They don't compost in the landfill. So what makes sense for the consumer? What is the consumer going to do with the product once they have it? um, the soap bar soap is great. Zero waste, so easy. I make a shave bar, done. You're done. It's done. There's no packaging. I wrap it in tissue paper that's made from recycled material, and that's it. Done and done. Same thing with the deodorant. It's in glass. I house everything in glass, and we can talk about that if you want to. But again, I can take these glass jars back. I can't sterilize a plastic lid, so we have to throw that away. So do I have metal lids manufactured? Well, again, then they need to be manufactured in mass quantity in China. And is metal really better for the environment? It certainly recycles better, but is manufacturing metal better? I mean, there's sort of an endless amount of questions that I'm asking myself. But right now I'm focusing on the glass because I think it's better for us. And then it's easier, to recycle and also just to reuse. So
Mhm.
yeah. Um,
Well, I think you are just spotlighting for so many listeners the tremendous amount of consideration that goes into everything. I mean, my mind is spinning thinking
I
about it,
know.
right?
I
And it
know.
makes us want to, though, focus on supporting very locally produced and businesses like
Yeah.
District Batch for all that you are putting into it and all that you are considering. And as a female entrepreneur who is really putting herself out there and the amount of time and dedication, you say that it is so crucial to you that it is balanced with your family life.
Mhm. Mhm.
Can you talk a little bit about that and how that is a part of who you are and how you integrate, as the
Mhm.
word work, as the phrase work-life balance isn't often one to exist for a female entrepreneur, especially with a young child, but the
Yeah.
integration, of it
Yeah.
all.
Yeah. Yeah. I think integration is a kind word. I think my husband might say overtaking. He's very patient, very tolerant, but yeah, I think COVID particularly has sort of smashed this boundary of work life. And I'm a person that smashes those boundaries anyway, because I'm just messy in that department. I like to live what I'm working. I really do. I went to art school for 7 years, and that I just was like fully immersed in that. And now I've sort of shifted focus to this, and I am fully immersed in it. It's hard. I mean, I have a 4.5-year-old. She knows how to put labels on jars, and I mean, she knows that I'm busy. She knows that I work hard. I think it's something that's actually really motivated me to grow District Batch, is to have my daughter see me as an entrepreneur. And, she knows that I make decisions, and that sometimes those decisions are hard. And sometimes my coconut oil is stuck in a tsunami in the Philippines. And, we talk a lot about what I do at home. And that's important to me, just to sort of normalize my work. I'm lucky. I really love what I do, and I do it all the time. And I feel very lucky that I have a job, that allows me to be creative and think creatively, and also problem solve. And so that's just kind of the way that I live my life anyway.
And the messages that you are sharing with your daughter and those of her generation about the importance of making these kinds of product decisions
Mhm.
that matter for their
Mhm.
health in the short and
Mhm.
long term.
Mhm.
So it's a powerful entrepreneurial experience that you've been sharing, and also wanting to highlight your company, your products. How can people buy from you and
Mhm.
follow your work?
Yeah, so you can find me on districtbatch.com. I'm also on Instagram at districtbatch, and you can buy directly from me online, or you can buy. If you're in the district, I'm in all the Shop Made in DCs. I'm also in 3 Whole Foods. So there's a Whole Foods in Tyson's Corner, and there's one in Gaithersburg, Maryland, that carries District Batch, and there's one in Florida Ave, sorry, in I guess it's technically Shaw neighborhood of DC, but yeah, and just to say, Whole Foods has been amazing and done a lot to help me grow my business. I've been really grateful for that partnership. Um, and yeah, there's a couple other small stores online. I do pop-ups. Before COVID, I was doing a lot of pop-ups in Madewell and Bonobos and places like that reach out to me and ask me to come in and do a pop-up. So I'm hoping and looking forward to getting back to that. So if you follow me on Instagram, you'll see those pop-ups.
Yes, and if there's anyone listening who has a partnership opportunity for Marissa
Yeah,
as well, please feel free
definitely.
to get in touch with her directly, again through her website. Or if Marissa, you want to share your email address.
Yeah, yeah. I do work with realtors and people to make custom thank you boxes and things like that. So you can email me at hello@districtbatch.com. I would
Great.
love to hear from you.
Thank you so much, Marissa, for sharing your guidance and really opening our eyes even wider to all the decisions that we should be making when we're going out and looking for our skincare products, our makeup products, sunscreen, and everything else. So thank you so much for bringing so much to light today.
Yeah, you're welcome. I hope people walk away feeling empowered and not overwhelmed, because I think there are companies that are doing good things, and so find them, and don't stress yourself out too much, because it's sort of an endless world, and that's what people like me are here for. So you're welcome. Thanks, Whitney.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Okay.